They almost built a weapon that was never meant to fight, never meant to chase the enemy, only to exist. A warship so strange, so massive, that the ocean itself would struggle to destroy it. And it was made of ice. In the early years of World War II, the Atlantic Ocean felt endless and merciless. For the sailors crossing it, every journey carried the same quiet fear. Ships left North America full of food, fuel, and hope, and many never arrived. They vanished into the dark water, taken by German U-boats that hunted patiently, far from land. There was one place the Allies feared most, a wide stretch of ocean beyond the reach of aircraft. They called it the air gap. Once convoys entered it, there was no protection from above, no warning, just silence, followed by explosions in the night. Britain understood the truth before anyone else did. If the Atlantic supply lines failed, the war would be lost without an invasion, without a final battle, simply through starvation and exhaustion. They needed aircraft in the middle of the ocean, but aircraft carriers were slow to build. Steel was scarce, and every carrier lost was a wound Britain could barely afford. So the question became desperate. What if the answer wasn't stronger steel, but something completely different? That question opened the door to one of the strangest ideas ever approved for war, Project Habakkuk. The idea began quietly, among scientists who were used to thinking differently. They weren't trying to be clever. They were trying to survive. Someone asked a simple question. What if ice didn't have to be weak? Experiments began with frozen water mixed with wood pulp. The result shocked everyone involved. The material didn't crack like ice. It didn't shatter. It bent. It absorbed impact. They named it pykrete. When bullets were fired into it, they stayed there. When explosives were detonated nearby, the damage was limited. It didn't behave like ice anymore. It behaved like armor. Suddenly, a ridiculous idea became dangerous, because it might actually work. Project Habakkuk was no small plan. It wasn't even a ship in the traditional sense. It was a floating island. The frozen aircraft carrier would be longer than any ship ever built. Its hull would be unimaginably thick, designed to shrug off torpedoes that would tear steel ships apart. Inside, powerful refrigeration systems would run constantly, keeping the structure frozen even in warmer seas. Aircraft would land and take off from its surface, patrolling the Atlantic day and night. This ship was not meant to move quickly. It was meant to stay, a permanent presence in the ocean, a silent warning to U-boats that the air gap was gone. If even a few of these carriers were built, the balance of the Atlantic War could change overnight. To prove the idea wasn't madness, a prototype was built in Canada. On a remote lake, far from the eyes of the public, engineers shaped a massive block of pykrete. It floated, it stayed solid, it survived gunfire. Explosives failed to destroy it. Men who had laughed at the idea stopped laughing. For a moment, it felt like history was bending in a new direction. Project Habakkuk received approval. Designs expanded. Resources were assigned. The frozen carrier moved closer to reality. But then the weight of reality settled in. The ship would require constant refrigeration, consuming enormous amounts of power, miles of insulation, endless maintenance, entire crews dedicated not to fighting, but to preventing melting. It would move painfully slowly. Towing it into position would take months. Protecting it during construction would drain ships and aircraft from other fronts. And while engineers wrestled with ice, the war moved on. Long-range patrol aircraft improved. Escort carriers were built faster than expected. Radar and sonar became more effective. Convoy tactics evolved. The air gap was shrinking. The problem Project Habakkuk was designed to solve was disappearing. By 1943, the urgency was gone. Without fanfare, Without speeches, Project Habakkuk was canceled. The prototype was abandoned. Left alone on the lake, it slowly melted, not destroyed, not defeated, just forgotten. No frozen aircraft carriers ever entered the Atlantic. Yet the idea still lingers, because Project Habakkuk wasn't about ice. It was about how far humans will go when survival is on the line. Had it been completed, the Atlantic might have become an unsinkable fortress. The war at sea could have ended sooner, or become even more dangerous. There was another truth, too. If something went wrong, a power failure, a broken cooling system, hundreds of men could have been trapped inside. A ship slowly dissolving around them. A weapon that could not sink, but could quietly disappear. Project Habakkuk was not canceled because it was foolish. It was canceled because the world changed faster than the idea could keep up. And somewhere beneath a calm Canadian lake, the last traces of that frozen dream melted away, reminding us that even the most powerful plans can vanish without ever being used.